Okay, thank you, Hannah. And if you want to join Hannah and talk more about that afterwards, you can. Hetty, you were going to have your...
Oh, right, I'll be at home. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, thank you. And can we welcome Hetty Lewis from Devon.
Yeah, so this is a big topic to cover in 5 minutes. So obviously we can talk about it more in the sort of discussion sessions, and I know I probably will go over 5 minutes. But I wanted to talk to you about behaviour change, tipping points and framing communications when you're thinking about community engagement within conservation. So as I said, yeah, my name is Hetty. I'm the Wild Communities Officer at Devon Wildlife Trust. The team was set up around about 18 months ago to support community-led action for nature and also act as a kind of permanent point of contact for, within Devon Wildlife Trust for communities. The way our team works is very different from other teams within Devon Wildlife Trust. So we are largely kind of based around community organising and behaviour change principles behind our work. And this movement, I suppose, from community engagement to kind of community empowerment is part of a national approach at the wider wildlife trusts, and that's called Team Wilder. And why we're doing this is really because one of the goals that we have within our 10-year strategy, engagement strategy, is to have 1/4 of Devon's population actively engaged in wildlife. So 1 in 4 essentially. Now, why 25%? Well, it's scientifically proven to be the tipping point in behaviour change when thinking about moving a behaviour or an action from the exception to the norm. So we'd really like to see essentially caring for nature to be the norm in Devon. So the best way to kind of put this or explain this is through an example. So if you think back to 1984, the first mobile phones came out, and I'd say around about 10% of the population had a mobile phone at the time. So these were your kind of innovators, if you like, which were largely wealthy businessmen at the time because they had, well, they were the only really ones who could afford a mobile or actually needed a mobile phone at the time. Then throughout the 90s, the teenagers became your sort of early adopters here because they cottoned on that they could keep in touch with their friends pre-social media days, and obviously parents could keep track of where their children were, so they became your early adopters. And then fast forward to 1999, by this point 26% of the population had a mobile phone, so it was quite a slow 15 years to get from 10% to just over 25%, but once it did, the momentum really began rolling as just 1 year later 47% of the population had a mobile phone, and then by 2002 70% of the population had a mobile phone. So you can really see kind of how effective that tipping point is in terms of behaviour change. So I think probably one of the next things to follow that pattern, just personal opinion, is maybe something like electric cars. I'd say we're probably in the early adopters phase at the moment, but I do see there being a kind of big tipping point where suddenly everyone starts to get one. And then towards the end, you've got your kind of late majority, your laggards, still people without mobile phones, but that'll just be a little bit later to cotton on. So there's 2 kind of key behaviour change frameworks that we like within the wider communities team, and which are really kind of simple to adopt. So anyone can sort of use these frameworks if you're thinking about getting people or more people engaged in your projects, you're trying to encourage different community actions or behaviours. The one I like most is the EAST method. So easy, for people to get engaged in your projects, you want to think about making things easy. How can people get involved? Can you make it so that the default behaviour is the kind of preset option? How can you make it so that it's really accessible? You also want to make things attractive, so something appealing. So think visual, think relatable, think representation, and think fun. You want to make it fun as well. Obviously humans are social creatures, we seek social interaction, so if you can make things social, that's a really great way of getting more people involved. And there's also a kind of element of fitting in with the crowds. Nobody wants to really be that odd one out, and if you think particularly like the keeping up with the Joneses effect, it's really quite powerful. If you're there's a street full of neighbours and lots of them started putting solar panels on their roof, I guarantee you'll be much more likely to just consider it yourself as well. And then timely, this is a really key one. So can you sort of have different times of the day that you host activities or events or meetings, different locations, different days of the week, so that you can enable a much wider audience to get engaged. And also, when is the right time to bring up that topic? It's no use kind of talking about wildlife gardening maybe in the winter when not so many people are thinking about it, so really think about when's the right time to bring up things as well. And then the MSE model, pretty much the same really, but it just kind of emphasises that people first need motivation, that kind of emotional connection to the behaviour or the action, and then they need the kind of social support around them to be able to take that behaviour or take that action, and then they need those easy opportunities to be able to do that as well. So really quickly, just want to touch on framing communications. We've seen a lot of environmental doom and gloom over the years to the point where people have switched off. So it's really a powerful thing to think that just the way in which you word something can really make a difference on whether people engage or not. So there's a few kind of key points in here, highlighting making things positive, making things relatable, making things motivational, really thinking about how you're wording things. It's much more talking about how things relate to people as well. How does it impact on their lives? So how does that one person's actions make a difference and fit into a wider picture? How does it relate to them? Why should they care? So thinking about what relates to them and sparking that motivation. And what I'd say as well is share the things that people are doing, share and celebrate that, not constantly pointing out what people aren't doing. I mean, this still means you can highlight what where people are, where there's challenges, where there's issues, but maybe you can ask questions like, what could be done, or how can we help? So yeah, how you word things is really key as well. Just finally then, wanted to say that there's loads and loads of resources and toolkits out there, many of which we have used ourselves as well within Devon Wildlife Trust. We're not kind of human psychologists, we're not necessarily experts in this area, a lot of it's trial and error for us as well, but there's loads of great resources, and we're really happy to have conversations with any communities that are looking to kind of explore this way of working and engaging with their communities, because we need to think, if we need to hit 1/4 of Devon and hit 25%, there's no way we can do that by ourselves. So we need to work with communities, we need to reach more communities, we need to reach different communities, and those currently engaged communities, how can we help them to widen their audiences as well? So there's loads of work to be done, but lots of great possibilities and opportunities. So yeah, I think that's it for me. Yeah, thank you very much.
Just a quick question.
Yes.
Is that available on your website?
This exact presentation,
Yeah, or that, you had all those pictures and
the resources.
The east and all that other stuff.
It's not current, so I've put this together bespoke for today, but I think Eve will probably circulate.
I think, we will make everything that's in all of the sessions, in the spotlight sessions, I think they'll be available on the Sustainable Southampton website.
And then all of those resources, the toolkits, I've put all the links in there as well, so you can have those.
Okay, thanks. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And thank you, Hetty, that was very interesting.